What it is, dummies. This will be the third episode of the Literary Dummies web show with another book review for you. This time we'll be reviewing the latest in the Hunger Games series, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. We're both actually Hunger Games fans, so this was like a choice off rip that we wanted to do. There will be spoilers, so if you care about book spoilers, you probably should have left right here. So with all that being said, let's get into the review.
Well, this book is about Coriolanus Snow, which is President Snow. If you watched the movies and didn't read the books, you don't remember it. It's about him when he's in the academy, and it's the 10th Hunger Games, I believe. It's the 10th Hunger Games, so it's about him, his grandmother, and his cousin, and then all the trials and tribulations of him being a mentor in the games.
It is the first year that the Capitol is having mentors in the games. These games are very different from what we know to be the Hunger Games. It's only 10 years in, they're still trying to figure out, like they haven't gotten to the point of forcing all the districts to watch. They try to force the districts to watch, but in like places like 12, TVs are broken and stuff. So it's like, yeah, you're all supposed to watch it, but there's no way to ensure that everybody watches it. Like he said, we're following young Snow, like 16, somewhere between 16 and 18.
I think he's 17, yeah, he's about to graduate senior year.
So he's like 17 at the beginning, senior year of high school. This is 10 years after the war that I guess would have started for them has ended. And we're learning what it's going to take to be amongst the first batch of Hunger Games mentors. So we get a lot of the academy in the Capitol, which isn't really in the first trilogy that much. You don't really learn much about the academy where the Capitol kids go to school.
Right.
We get a lot of that, and we get a lot of the building of what we know as the Hunger Games, the blueprint to what we know as the Hunger Games.
Yep. It has the first game maker that actually develops those animals that you see in the movies, like the apes.
As the first game maker, the dean at the academy is actually the man who came up with the idea of the Hunger Games as a way to punish the district's Dean Higginbottom, something like that. Highbottom, who's kind of an asshole, who's addicted to morphine, kind of like how Snow's addicted to whatever he is later on in the show. In the series, in the first trilogy. You got a bunch of classmates that are also mentors, most notably Clemencia,
and
Arachne, Sejanus, and there's a few more, but really big focus on Sejanus, Clemencia, and Arachne, but that's for a certain reason we'll get to later. Sejanus is one of the only people at the academy that's from District 2.
I think he's 2, yeah.
Yeah. He's originally from District 2, but his dad gets really rich and moves his family to the Capitol. But Sejanus is in a weird spot because he's seen how the Capitol treats the districts, and he knows that he could never go back to District 2 anyway because now y'all have to go to the Capitol, so nobody cares.
And he's a really great character too.
Sejanus is he's the moral compass of the entire book. He's the one who just thinks the entire idea of the Hunger Games is wrong. He hasn't fallen for the propaganda that the districts need to be punished. So, starts out, we're dealing with Snow and just like regular academy stuff. We actually find out that Snow has a cousin and they were both orphans during the war. And their grandmother, well, Snow wasn't an orphan, but his grandmother pretty much adopted him. And he has a cousin whose grandmother also adopted Tigress. If you remember the Tiger Lady in Mockingjay, that's Snow's cousin. That's why she got away with as much as she got away with in Mockingjay without any issues. We're introduced to them, and we're introduced to Snow's racist ass grandma.
Yes, my favorite character in the book. Like, I guess like you can't say racist, she's classist, I guess.
Yeah, classic.
Every time, it could be the best district person in the world. Handshake, eye contact, bowing. She's like, oh, she's dirty. Wash your hands. She is consistently classist through the entire book. I loved her personality every time. It's like, oh, you over there at the district? Yeah, it was a good time. No, it couldn't have been a good time at the district. Look,
because she's old. She comes from when Snow's family had power. They no longer have power or money because after the war, it's after a war. Some people made money, but the Snows didn't. And Snow's dad died. He was a general. His mom's not around, so they're faking like they're rich, or trying to still have as much dignity as they did when they were rich. At the academy, one of the most important things we do is they look for a way to make the Hunger Games interesting. Now, we said this is the 10th season, and it's getting to the point where they're like, yo, this isn't working. The dean is kind of pushing on the low to just do away with it. But, who is it? Dr.
Gall.
Dr. Gall.
Like the mad scientist, who's also, that's my second favorite person in the book.
She's a mad scientist. She gives me, if Effie Trinket, the one who did the interviews at the District 12 on the Reaping Day, she gives me vibes like her, but a mad scientist version. Dr. Gall is like, she's one of those teachers that always has a lesson and things she says, so she's like telling them, yo, y'all need to figure out how to make the Hunger Games worth it, because this shit, we might have to do away with it. So this year it's going to be really important that we find ways to make the kids watch. And so James off rip is just like, or we cannot kill everybody kid. I don't know why y'all just think we need to kill everybody. Like, come on, yo. And everybody like, no, yo, shut the fuck up. Ain't like nobody. They're like, yo, why don't we kill all of the kids? Yo, they from the districts. And he like, I'm from the districts, but
because it's wrong.
Like, yo, it's not cool, yo. Like, so, Reaping Day comes, and at Reaping Day, Reaping Day is when they announce, hey, these the kids from your district going. We go to District 12. Initially, I was not excited to see District 12 again because I didn't care. Like, we got District 12, we got Katniss punk ass, we got Peter super punk ass. Didn't want to go back to District 12. But we're introduced to a girl named Lucy Baird. When they call on Lucy, there's no, oh my God, there's no I volunteer tribute scene. They call Lucy and a random girl just passes out in the crowd. And everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and I'm pretty sure almost like get beat up by the peacekeepers, like, and then Lucy creeps out while everybody's like flipping out, and she walks to the stage. Lucy pretty much threw a snake at the bitch and had the snake bite her.
Yep, the mayor's daughter.
Yeah, the mayor's daughter. Find out about why later. So after the Lucy goes up, she's cool with being reaped, and then you find, like, she gets up there and she starts singing a song, and you find out that Lucy is a performer, and she's not really from District 12. She just comes from a family that used to move around the districts because they were performers.
Yep, called the Covey.
Yeah, the Covey. But then the Capitol turned into assholes, so you couldn't move in between the districts as easy. So from the moment she sings at the Reaping, it's like, oh shit, she's different. She's nothing like Katniss. She's a performer. I would say she's supposed to be cuter than what Katniss was supposed to be. And it's like, oh, but she doesn't have any like talent as far as killing people. Like Katniss could use a crossbow. Lucy don't really have no hands. So we go back to the Capitol. It's after Reaping, and all the mentors are like getting excited because they're like, "Oh, we're gonna find out who we got. We're gonna find out who we got." Obviously, Snow ends up with Lucy, and Snow's like, "Bro, what the fuck, yo? I got a girl from District 12. Like, District 12 don't even compete. Because at this point, it's been 10, and District 12 just been ass every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, nothing. Just like in the original trilogy, the first few districts are still paying to be the best. So they get all their recruits, and Sejanus has a boy from District 2. Come back to that. So it's getting closer to all the mentors coming to the capital. In the process of just regular classes, Dr. Gold and the dean come back to, we need something to make people watch this. And in a joking conversation, the kids are like, I'd watch it if I could bet on them.
Mm-hmm.
So they make up the idea of, okay, this, you can bet on tributes this year. So they have to write up a proposal, like Dr. Gold's like, explain how it'll work, write up a proposal. During that time, one of the mentors gets killed. I forget exactly how, because this was before Arachne got killed.
I can't remember who got killed. Somebody that wasn't even introduced.
One of the mentors ends up getting killed, or one of the students at the school gets killed, and they're like having, like mourning, so people think they don't have homework or nothing. But Snow still types up the proposal. The next day, he's going to deliver the proposal. He runs across his homie Clemencia, one of his good friends. Snow's not really close to anybody, but Clemencia is one of his friends, and Sejanus is trying to befriend him, and Snow's kind of just putting up with him. Some people, they see y'all around, and they're like, oh, they friends, and you like, nah, he just like me a lot. Like, that's not my homie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that relationship that Snow's trying to convey with Sejanus. Like, yo, you just like me, I don't really like you like that. Mm-hmm. So in the process of taking the proposal to Dr. Gall, they get there, they talk to her, and Dr. Gall has the tank of snakes. And these snakes have been modified so where if they sense something or they smell something that they haven't ever smelled before, they automatically attack it. But if they've smelled it before, everything's fine. Snow had dropped the paper off way earlier in the day, and Dr. Gold wasn't around. He was just like, get it to her for me, please. Got some peacekeepers. Can you please get it to her? And they were like, all right, we got you. So when he shows up with Clemencia's like, you'll just lie and say we both turned it in together. Mm-hmm. Dr. Gold takes Clemencia over to the tank and tells her to put her hand in. She puts her hand in, snakes attack the fuck out of her. And she ends up in a hospital ward for long as shit. And she looks at Snow like, well, you tried to look out for your friend, that's admirable, but nah, you can't be looking out for people. Mm-hmm. Foreshadowing. So now the tributes start making their way or get to the capital. It's completely different from how we know the tributes to get into the capital. Ain't no cool bus. Ain't nobody making sure you fed. They throw them pretty much on like a cattle cart.
With no food.
No food.
No water. And it's dark. Can't even see.
Just throw them on a cattle cart till they get to the capital. When they get to the capital, Tigress told Snow, you should be there waiting for your mentor. And he's like, well, can I do that? He's like, there's no rule against it. So just be a little bit different. Wait for your mentor. Snow waits for his mentor all day. They finally get there. He ends up having to ride in a cattle car with them to the zoo because they keep the kids
in the zoo
in like a cat, like a
the monkey exhibit actually.
Pretty much, yeah, in the monkey exhibit. That is where they keep the kids. They still have not fed these kids. At this point, it's been like 3 days since any of them have eaten anything, and it's still like 4 till the games. Mm-hmm. So you're expecting these kids to go for at least a week without eating anything. So now that they've gotten there, Snow meets Lucy. Snow ends up falling in the cattle cart, and like they ride it to the zoo where like the news is waiting. So they end up flipping it into a, yeah, I'm just gonna be that good of a mentor that I came to see my mentor first and see what she gonna be going through. So I just stayed in the cattle cart. They felt like he was close to breaking the rule, but he didn't. So he got like a demerit the next day in class. Didn't get in any real trouble. Now, while they're in the zoo, people can like come see him. Like they're really treated like animals on display. It's crazy. So people are coming to see him, whoop whoop, whatever. And Sejanus and Snow are there talking, and he's telling, like, Sejanus is like, yeah, that was cool, making sure you came to see your tribute, but I mean, who you're mentoring, but that's still close to breaking the rules. And Snow's like, yeah, but I needed whatever upper hand I could get. So he starts talking to Lucy. Lucy knows how to play a crowd. She knows how to sing, and she's a performer, so she knows how to play a crowd. Lucy ends up singing and then telling all the people, hey, you know, they haven't fed us, so if y'all just want to bring us some food from y'all house, would be amazing. Don't really work much off rip, but she gets some food. Snow tries to bring what food he can from home. Can't bring a lot because, you know, and what ends up happening is after everybody starts getting popular, you can bring the kids food. Like the first night that everybody brings food, Arachne, who Snow kind of just describes as an asshole, like just like a rich asshole.
Yep.
The average people are like feeding the tributes. Like Lucy plays to kids, like so she'll like sing to kids, or they'll be like, "I heard you sing. Did you like it? I'll sing another song for you if you did." So they're feeding them, and Arachne, being a fucking mentor, goes to her tribute and like takes out a knife. What was that? Apple?
It was a sandwich.
And she has a sandwich, and she's acting like she's gonna give it to her. And then as soon as her tribute reaches for her, she starts pulling it back, and she's like playing up to the crowd while she does it. So her tribute says, "Fuck this," snatches the knife from her and cuts Arachne's throat, and then the tribute get shot the fuck up.
Still ate the sandwich while she's getting shot. That's how hungry she was. She was getting shot and just wanted to eat.
These kids are starving in a rat-infested cart, expected to go kill themselves in like 6 days off no food.
Yep.
So, you know, Sejanus, Clemency has been in the hospital this whole time. I just wanted to come back to that for a second. And Sejanus and Snow are like, yo, we gotta figure out how to help these kids. So, you know, they find little ways to get them fed. And then Snow comes up with the idea, well, we can make the games more interactive. We already got them betting. We can send them water and food in the games too. So we get that idea. We come to find out that Sejanus' tribute hates Sejanus, and no matter what Sejanus do, he can't get the guy to eat because they're from the same district. Not only are they from the same district, they went to school together. So it's like, yo, you're my mentor and you left the district. Fuck you. Boom. No, nothing real big happened between then and the games.
The bombs.
I was just, yep. Before the games come, they go to visit the stadium. Because at this point, it's not like the arena switches every year like it is later on. There's just an old stadium that was around from before the war that's been blown up, but it's still there. So they're going there to see an ass ton of bombs go off. And in the process of these bombs going off, some tributes save their mentors, like dive and try to save their mentors. Snow and Lucy both try to save each other at different points in different ways. there comes a point where, because it was like what was seemingly a random attack, there some of the tributes just take off and get killed. The tribute from District 2, Marcus, is one that takes off, but he gets farther than anyone else. We're like 2 days out of the games. They've eaten a little bit, but still really not enough. But Snow's like telling Lucy, like, look, you've made people like you. Even if they don't want to bet on you, they'll send you food and water just because you've made them like you enough. So boom, they end up having the games after like this whole funeral because some of the mentors and some of the tributes is dead. They ended up losing like, out of 24 kids, I think when the games start, there's like...
They lost 12. There was 12 when it started.
So out of 24, they lost 12 kids and like 6 mentors. Before the games even get to the games, my niggas. So they pull up to the games start the next day. Now, every time thus far that a tribute has died, during the funeral, most of the time that the tributes have died, some kind of mentor has died too. So like during the funerals, the mentors get treated amazing, but like they just bring the bodies getting dragged by horses of the tributes, just even dehumanizing them in death. So right before the games start, they make this big spectacle. Marcus had been running for like the last 2-3 days. Like you're almost led to believe that either he just got killed or he got away. They bring Mark, like they show Marcus in the stadium and they got him just tied up for everybody to see, spread eagle, and that's like the last thing we see before the games start. A few cool scenes in the games. The girl from, I want to say, is it District 9?
I think it was 8. You talking about the girl Walter there and killed him?
Yeah, well, yeah, gave him the mercy kill. I don't think she's from the same district as Rue and them. That's what's important. She's that.
I can't remember which one. I think that was 11 though. No, but yeah, I think it was Rue's 11.
She's from whatever district.
The black district. Yeah.
She's from whatever district Rue and them are from, and you can tell because like she scales the shit out of this scaffolding. She ends up, the first kill is her actually killing Marcus. Because they just left him up there. They didn't kill him, but they beat him to a pulp. And she kills Marcus as a mercy kill. And then climbs to the top of the scaffolding and stays there. She's there for a while, for like days. So that's pretty much like the first death. Like the only death the first day. That night, Sejanus breaks into the games. Because this is before it was all high tech like we know it now. And the cameras didn't roll 24/7 the way they do now. So he breaks in, cuts Marcus has been cut down. He gives him funeral rites, more or less. In the process of this, he's been caught. So Dr. Gull goes to get Snow, and she's like, "Go save your friend." And Snow's like, "Yo, I don't even fuck with you like that at all. I'm just civil. Why do y'all keep calling him my friend?" And she's like, "I don't want to hear all that shit. We can either leave him in there and let them niggas kill him, or you can try to save him. It's on you." Pretty much, Snow goes down there with Sejanus and goes to save Sejanus, and Sejanus' mom is with Snow because he's like, "Well, shit, that might be the one thing that can get him out." So they throw him in there. And like Snow's giving explicit instructions like, "Look, the peacekeepers are like, look, we're gonna be waiting here. If you just get back here and we have to open fire, we'll open fire." He goes to get Sejanus. The kids try to surround him. Snow ends up killing one of the kids because they was about to attack him. And then in the process of running, they get back to where the peacekeepers are, and none of them shoot like they're supposed to. And then when he asks Dr. Gull, like, "Yo, what the fuck?" She's just like, "Yeah, I needed you to know what that fear really felt like. I needed you to understand that humans in their natural state can kill and not care about it." So we go into the next day and just like these aren't like the new games. So like it's just for days, nothing happen. Like the kids are just out there, they're waiting for kids to starve. So some real quick kills. The boy from District 12, he had rabies.
Yep.
Because he got bit in that nasty ass car. And he ended up with rabies. And he like flips out, and then he ends up getting a mercy killing damn near from Lucy. Marcus is already dead. I want to say Districts 1 and 2 and 3 team together to get the girl off the scaffolding.
Mm-hmm.
But in the process, like 2 of them go. Then there's this scene where they throw monsters into the game, and
the snakes and whatnot.
Yeah, they threw the snake. Basically, a bunch of them die, and then the next big thing is Dr. Gold lets loose her snakes in the arena. Luckily, before the snakes get let loose in the arena, Snow goes to see Dr. Gold, and he realizes they're going to get used. So he drops a handkerchief in the tank that has Lucy Baird's scent on it. So that when they get used, they won't bite her. So they get put in, Lucy comes out singing, and like, so she's like snake charming, and the snakes won't bite her. She kills like 2 people.
Yeah, she does. She actually throws a snake.
She throws a snake at one guy.
And then she actually chops the other guy while he's struggling with the snake.
Boom, so she catches 2 bodies.
Oh, and then she poisons the other one.
Yeah, and then she leaves I want to say 3 people, maybe 4 left. And out of that, she catches 2 more bodies using this. They were putting bullshit rat poison into the cart while they were standing there. The rats just would avoid it. Mm-hmm. She held on to that with a compact that Snow gave her. And she used it to poison like 2 people. She gets to the end and she lets this other kid who was suffering from a rabies attack basically go ahead and just end it. Like, just lets him die out. So Lucy ends up winning. But back then, none of that shit mattered. She just won. And they shipped her ass back to District 12. But right after you find out she won, you find out that the Capitol knows, or Dr. Gall knows that Snow cheated. Mm-hmm. He knows that he gave Lucy the compact from his mom that she put the rat poison in. He knows about the handkerchief. And for all intents and purposes, they've fallen in love, and she can tell, like, there's a little bit more going on. Mm-hmm. So, instead of killing Snow, they send him to be a peacekeeper in District 12. And he's like, he hasn't seen Lucy because, being a peacekeeper, like, working for the queen. You don't really just get to do shit, and you training. So, he's trying to work, and Sejanus ends up coming too. And he shows up way later. So Sejanus is there, and he's like, yo, why did you come here? Your dad will get you out of anything. And he was like, I hated the Capitol. I couldn't go back to District 2, so fuck it. At least if I'm here, I can try something new.
He was trying to help people. He thought maybe being a peacekeeper, since the name is Peacekeeper, he'd be able to help people instead of just shoot them and shit. So, and he was still being a good friend to Snow because he's the one that got Snow able to graduate and brought his diploma with him.
Yes, when he gets, after the games, after Snow cheats, they pretty much just like, nigga, leave. Like, we're sending you, you're lucky we're letting you live. So he has to go as quickly as possible. His grandmother is like, but you won, good job. And she kind of starts losing her mind as he leaves. Tigress is like, yo, I don't know what we're going to do without you because they raising taxes, but we'll find a way to make it work. Sejanus' family is the only family that looks out for him, and his grandmother shits on Sejanus' family for the whole early half of the book because they're from the district.
But she is a real racist.
But because Snow looked out for Sejanus so early, Sejanus' mom and dad both are like, nah, whatever you need, we got you. So the whole time that they're in District 12, like, his mom is sending packages. Sejanus comes through, like, we find out Sejanus is a great shot, he just never shows it. as a peacekeeper because he's like, I don't want people to know that I'm good at killing. Like, I don't want people to know that I have these talents. So after some time being there, Janus pulls up and he's like, nigga, I know you in love with Lucy Baird. Sure, we can find her, babe. So he helps her find Lucy. She's performing. I'm certain it's a reference to a place that we know in the original Hunger Games books, but I just can't remember.
It's called the Hob.
Yeah. She performs at the Hob on like every weekend, and that's when the peacekeepers get off and you can go to the black market and get drunk. He ends up finding her. Boom. Rekindle their love. We come to find out that Lucy always had a dude, or had a dude. That's why she has the snake bite the mayor's daughter in the beginning, because she was like, nigga, you took my nigga, basically. And she was bitter, but her nigga wasn't shit. So we start to feel like we finna get to feel that real love between Snow and Lucy.
Yep.
He go like the family like Snow. Sejanus is like, oh my God, it's all here. It's love. You love her, she loves you. Y'all can be together. But just about this time, Sejanus is also telling Snow, yo, I don't like none of this shit.
Yeah.
Like, everything that Panem's doing is wrong. Like, nah, the capital's fucking terrible. Look at how y'all are making people live. And Snow has always been like, yo, all this shit might not be right, but it's the best we can do.
Yep. And so Janus is you can tell he's fed up to the point where he wants to actually do real action.
Yeah.
Instead of just talking about how bad they're treated. He wants to actually physically help all other people in the districts.
Yes, Sejanus wants freedom for everybody without saying the exact words. But, so it gets to this point where they find out that, Snow finds out that Sejanus is trying to help these rebels run away.
And snitches on his friend.
But, like, the rebels one of the rebels is Lucy's ex. And while they're in District 12, one of the first things that Janus and Snow see together is like they have to go to an execution together. So they see somebody get killed, and then they see the person that got away that helped them get caught. And then the rebels are like, look, yo, we just want to break. Like, they go to Sejanus like, yo, can you just help us? Because we can tell you don't like it here either. Can you just help us break these two people out? And then we'll help you run away with us. One of the rebels is Lucy's old nigga, who's also trying to get Lucy to come like, yo, fuck that mayor bitch. Yo, I'm really just trying to be with you, so. No. So, so what ends up happening is Snow snitches
On his friend.
on Sejanus like shit. Now, after Snow snitches, he thinks like, okay, Snow snitches because first off, Snow ends up killing the guy that Lucy's trying to holler at. And he ends up killing the mayor's daughter. So at this point in time, Snow has killed 3 people. He killed a kid in the games and he killed 2 more people. So, but he did all of them for the most part to protect himself. So, they end up saying like, Sejanus ends up trying to help him. He drops down on Sejanus by using a Jabberjay. We get the full history of the Jabberjays and the Mockingjay and the Mockingbird and how they mate. And pretty much Snow ends up having to work with them, so he learns how to make them record. And he has a Jabberjay recording Sejanus saying like, yo, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna help the rebels. You don't have to come with me, but this is what I'm gonna do. It is what it is.
It's exactly like in high school when a girl will put you on 3-way and you didn't know about it. That's all I could think about. I was like, this is foul.
And he sent it back to the capital where it was going directly to Dr. Go. So they end up killing Sejanus. Now, this whole time, like every time that he's seen Lucy perform, he's like always asking for songs that are about them, but he can never tell what songs are about him. So after, like, when Sejanus is getting executed, the next time he sees Lucy, she's singing, like, he realizes that the hanging tree, the song about "Will You Meet Me at the Hanging Tree," is about him, but it's not like a lovey, like, yo, meet me at the hanging tree before we can run. It's basically Lucy being like, I've been knowing you was gonna snitch.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a hoe ass nigga, and I could tell from off rip. Like, you've been a punk. And that is the same song that's like amazingly popular in District 12 in the original trilogy of the Hunger Games. But yeah, so he like finally puts two and two together, but Lucy is still like leading them on, like, yo, we're gonna run away. We're gonna run away. And she like kind of talks Snow into running. So they run, they go past this lake that they've had lovely times at. Snow finds a bunch of guns that the rebels had that got hidden after the night where he shoots the mayor's daughter and Lucy's guy. And then pretty much from that point on, Lucy just leaves him out in the woods. And Snow makes his way back. Like, he leaves him out in the woods. He gets bit by a snake that, like, he thinks Lucy set up to bite him.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of starts slipping out. He gets back to the Capitol. And he had taken the officer's exam. Obviously, he passed it because that nigga he's smart.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal when you, like, it's just a reason for us to think that at some point he might go back to the Capitol. But he gets back. And he goes straight to the infirmary, like, I got bit by a snake. I barely got back. And they're like, nothing is wrong with it. Like, yeah, you got bit, but nothing's wrong.
Yeah, it's not a poisonous snake.
He's like, you did more freaking out just because you were scared than this snake can do. And then he gets back to the Capitol, and Dr. Gall is like, yeah, so you learned some things. And pretty much like, yeah, so we had one big ass test. All your time in District 12 was just one big ass test to see if you would snitch when things got down to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
And then he poisons, quote unquote, poisons the headmaster because of course she leaves off the book as he dies. Obviously, he dies eventually anyway.
Yeah, but he poisoned. What they end up telling him is, or Dr. Gall ends up telling him, these Hunger Games, I'm going to be the only one that has tapes of these. Nobody will ever know, but I'm taking you under my wing. In the process of this, we find out that Snow and the Dean's dad were really good friends. And pretty much what happened with Clemencia happened with them. Snow's dad and the Dean got really drunk one day after they got an assignment that was like, how can we punish the districts for rebelling? They wrote the Dean wrote up the Hunger Games, and Snow's dad was like, yo, that shit fire, we should turn it in. And the Dean's like, nah, that's a little bit too fucked up. Like, this is a joke. This shouldn't be taken serious. And he's like, nah, I'm gonna turn it in, just put both our name on it and say it was your idea if they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Turns it in, and then the Dean becomes the man that invented the Hunger Games. And it's like, dog, fuck out of here, short.
That is one of the worst endings I've ever experienced in a book ever.
I don't understand what Suzanne Collins has against ending her books well, but this book and Mockingjay both ended horrible.
I loved this entire book up until the two last chapters. It was so much character because obviously Snow has to be an asshole, but he was not an asshole. This whole book, he grew feelings for the district people. He grew feelings for a girl finally. Every chapter, he was getting more noble and more caring. Last two chapters, I'm gonna snitch on my friend, and I'm gonna hide these guns so they don't find out it's me, and I'm gonna stop giving a fuck about the district. He even says a line in there where it's like, district people are beneath us, blah, blah, blah. But that didn't make any sense because before then, he was just caring about people, and then he starts saying that Lucy really isn't a district person, even though she's from the district. So I'm like, it's a whole character assassination.
It's one of the things where he tries to do. Well, she's not really black because technically she wasn't from one specific district. It's just,
what is the point in making him learn every chapter about these poor people and get closer to these poor people if the last 2 chapters just kind of throw it away so quick? Like, nothing happens to him where he should end up hating them. It just happens. It's just like, what? Why?
It's not that they throw it away. It's just that he throws it away quick. And it's like when you see him in the Hunger Games, you can tell that he still has some of that, like, yo, y'all aren't all terrible district people, but y'all are different. And here it don't even feel like he has that at the end. It just feels like he was extremely selfish the whole time. Yeah. And in a lot of ways he was, but there was a better way of going about, okay, now he's going to completely go back to just caring about himself. Because not only did he get his friend killed, Sejanus' dad took care of his tax problems. Like, Sejanus' parents never know that it's Snow that snitched. So they just know that their son, who was always tripping, finally got caught, and dad couldn't pay their way out of it.
And they paid for his whole way for college.
They paid for Snow's whole way through college. They moved into his house so that his grandmother can keep it and Tigers can be okay. Mm-hmm. And this nigga just got this, like, got nigga killed. Nigga talk about, it's like motherfucking Bishop. If Bishop from Juice, if they had money.
It was so disappointing. That ending was so disappointing. It's not, like I said, it's not like we didn't know that he was going to be an asshole. But I assumed that since the character development was going so well, that maybe there'll be another book of him becoming an asshole. It's like, nah, 3 pages, asshole, end of the book.
And Lucy disappears. And
it's like, gone.
And it's like, yeah, yo, I get, it's like the legend of Lucy Baird. But what was the point of writing all of this to just say she disappeared?
She's gone. There's no kids later on in the book of hers that he recognizes. There's nothing and nothing.
And then we shoot back to the Capitol, and they pretty much say everything that we know about the Hunger Games comes the next year. So next year is when they start giving making sure they feed the tributes. The next year is when there's hell of way more interviews in this year, because there was only like 2 interviews. Then that's when they put the Victor's Row thing, where if you win, you never got to go in again, and you pretty much set for life. All that stuff just comes the next year, and I'm like, come on, yo. Yeah. So he had like 2 good ideas in the beginning, and then by the next year, I got all the ideas. Yeah. It was just phoned in.
And he's a game maker right after.
And he ain't like proved nothing about really making the games in the way game makers does.
I see why they chose him, but it's obvious why they chose him. He's the only fucking person alive. Everyone else, wait, Clemencia is still alive.
Clemencia is still alive,
Clemencia is still alive. But that's it. It's them 2, and she didn't do anything.
And they already don't really like Clemencia.
So they said, "Oh, we're gonna choose this mentor." Those last 2 chapters just destroyed the whole book. It destroyed the whole.
And this was coming from somebody who didn't want this book to be made because it was following Snow. Mm-hmm. I said initially, I do not want to read a Hunger Games book about Snow. Give me Haymitch, give me somebody games that we never saw, or give me somebody from the second book. Yeah. That just sounded like they had a cool games. Give me the other districts. I don't need 12 no more. But in the beginning of this book,
it's good.
I was like, yeah, yo, let's go. The Snow shit fire. Even the romance, like I like his romance with Lucy more than I like Katniss and Peter.
Well, Katniss and Peter's fuck Peter at all times.
If I had to do a top 10 hated characters, Peter definitely on.
Peter's like number 4. Gale was there the whole time.
And people like to be like, nah, yo, Peter saved Katniss' life, he threw her the bread. Gale was out here hunting with Katniss daily. Like, what do you mean Peter threw her some bread once?
Gale was a soldier at all times. And Peter betrayed her in the first part of the games. People like to say betrayed. But he didn't have to do that, though.
Gale
wouldn't do that.
Just nah, yo.
I digress, though.
3/4 of this book was fucking amazing. And that last quarter almost ruins the entire book.
Yeah.
Even the games being different, because the games are really boring. If like you really think about it, see, they go like 4 days and nobody dies.
And it's just a stadium.
Yeah, it's just kids out there hot as shit.
So at first I didn't realize it was a stadium, but then they describe it. There's stand. I'm like, wait, so they had to see each other, but the bombs blew up.
Yeah, and
Tunnels
you
and
can go through the tunnel. So
Okay.
if you in the stands and I'm down bottom in the tunnel, you won't see me.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's an actual stadium. But it was nice to see like, okay, so these games did have to evolve over time.
Yeah.
But the end just ruined it for me, yo. If you are and the beautiful thing about this is, honestly, if you're a Hunger Games fan, you will like it. If you just want to see, yo, can I get into the Hunger Games? You should like it. But that end, boy.
It doesn't make any sense. And she's probably gonna make another one. I don't know what she's gonna do, but she needs to not end it like this, because this ending to me is worse than Mike and Jay's ending.
Same level for me.
And that was hard for me, because Mike and Jay's ending, I was just like, well,
Let's
let's see if the movie makes it better. It didn't. It made it worse.
And you know a movie's gonna come from this, and it's not gonna make it no better.
And I want to hope that in the movie, maybe she doesn't just leave. It would make more sense if she died from a rebel, and then that's why he hates rebels. But she's just gone. He's like, oh, I looked up, and she was just gone. But then when he gets older, he never looks for her though. Even within the next year, it even says a line there that he didn't even think to look for her. Really?
After falling in love.
The first love.
And as far as we're concerned, the only woman he ever loves.
That is just.
But yeah, Suzanne.
I'm tired of writing these last two chapters.
Stop phoning in your ending, sure.
Like, oh man, a whole different person wrote these. No, they didn't. It was her. Because yeah.
But yeah, another book read, another book reviewed. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Give it a read, but know that end gonna hurt your soul.
Without that end, I would have given this a 10 out of 10 without the end.
But the end.
The end makes this a 6.5.
And that's rough. Not passing.
Yeah, not in private school. That is rough.